The Confederation did not collapse overnight. Empires rarely do. But the cracks that started with humanity's broadcast spread like fractures through ice. Within 3 months, 18 species had declared independence. Within 6 months, that number doubled. The hidden station no longer needed to hide. Lieutenant Somin, now promoted to commander, ordered the stealth systems deactivated. For the first time in 3 centuries, humans broadcast their location openly. They dared the Confederation to come back. The Confederation did not come. The debris field from the battle became a memorial. 79 ships floated among the wreckage, their hulls scarred but intact. On the station, workers carved names into a wall. 8,300 names. Every human who survived. Below them, another wall with darker purpose. 1,700 names. Those who died in the battle. Commander Hyun, Captain Ji-won, Min-ho. All the others who gave everything so that humanity could live. Dr. Nari spent her days in the archives, but her work had changed. She was no longer searching for proof of humanity's erasure. Now she searched for other humans. Scattered colonies, lost ships, fragments of a species spread across the stars. I found another signal, Nari said, bursting into Soman's office 6 months after the battle. It is definitely human. Old encryption codes from before the fall, coming from a system 300 light-years from here. Soman looked up from reports. She was young for command, barely 30, but the war had aged her. Gray touched her black hair. Lines marked her face. How old is the signal? That is the strange part. It is recent. From last month. There are humans out there, and they are alive. Over the next year, the search missions found 5 separate human colonies. Small populations, each believing themselves the last of their species. Some had fled Earth before the Confederation attack. Others had been stranded on deep space missions, unable to return home. One colony had been living underground on a hostile world for 200 years. Each reunion brought tears and celebration. Humanity's population swelled. 8,000 became 15,000, then 20,000. Each new group brought skills, knowledge, ships. Slowly, carefully, humanity began to rebuild. But the galaxy had changed. The Confederation still existed, still claimed to rule, but its authority was broken. The species that had declared independence formed new alliances. They remembered who had sparked the rebellion. They remembered the broadcast, the impossible battle, the species that refused to stay buried. An envoy arrived at the station 18 months after the battle. Ambassador Taewon, now 70 years old, had been a young diplomat before Earth's fall. He had negotiated with aliens back when humanity still believed the galaxy was friendly. Now he was needed again. The envoy came from the Council of Free Worlds, an alliance of 23 independent species. They had a proposal. Taewon met with Commander Soman and Dr. Nari in the conference room. Hana was there too, now training as a pilot commander, carrying forward Minho's legacy. The alien envoy was a Threll, a species of tall blue beings with 4 arms. She spoke through a translator, her voice musical. My name is Vessel of Dawn. I speak for the free worlds. We owe humanity a debt. Your broadcast gave us courage to break our chains. Your battle showed us that the Confederation could bleed. We wish to formalize an alliance. What kind of alliance? Soman asked carefully. Humanity had learned to be cautious. Mutual defense, trade agreements, shared technology. Vessel of Dawn's 4 hands gestured gracefully. We are building something new. A confederation based on choice, not conquest. We would like humans to join our council. As equals, Taewon translated the implications. They are offering us a seat at the table. Recognition as a sovereign species. Protection through alliance, and in return, Nari asked. We ask for your quantum technology, Vessel of Dawn said, and your tactical knowledge. You defeated a fleet that should have destroyed you. We would learn from that. Not to conquer, but to defend. Many species wish to be free, but they fear the Confederation's retaliation. The negotiations took 3 months. Humanity was careful, remembering how the last alliance had ended with Earth burning. But these species were different. They had fought for their freedom. They understood what it meant to face extinction. The treaty was signed on the 2nd anniversary of the broadcast. 23 species and humanity, bound by mutual defense and shared purpose. The alliance took a name that translated roughly to those who remember. They would remember the species erased by the Confederation. They would remember the genocides. and they would ensure it never happened again. But one message still puzzled Nari. The old signal she had detected early in the search, the one that started everything. It came from deep space, from a system with no planets, just asteroids and ice. The coordinates were precise. Someone was waiting there. "I want to go," Nari told Somin. That signal was meant to be found. Someone left it as a marker, a sign. Somin approved the mission. A small fleet of 5 ships led by Nari, with Hana as the lead pilot. They jumped into the empty system and found something impossible. A fleet. Not 5 ships or 10. Hundreds of human ships, old designs, vessels from before the fall. They floated in formation around a massive station built into an asteroid. Life signs everywhere. Thousands of humans. Hana's communication panel lit up. A voice came through, human. Speaking English with an old accent. "Attention approaching vessels. Identify yourselves." Nari's hand shook as she activated the communication system. "This is Dr. Nari of the Human Resistance Fleet. We are looking for survivors." "Who are you?" A pause. Then laughter, joyful and disbelieving. "Resistance Fleet? There are more? We thought we were the only ones left. This is Colony Lazarus. We fled Earth 3 months before the attack. We have been waiting, hoping someone would find the beacon." Colony Lazarus held 37,000 people. They had built a society in the darkness, preparing for the day they could return. They had ships, weapons, engineers, scientists, children who had never seen war, elders who remembered Earth's blue skies. The reunion brought humanity's population to over 60,000, still small compared to the trillions in the galaxy, but growing, and now they had hope. 2 years after the battle, the Confederation sent an envoy of their own. The Veiled Council, the shadowy leaders who had ruled for millennia, requested a meeting. Not to threaten, to negotiate. Somin led the human delegation. Taewon advised her. Nari provided the historical context. They met on a neutral station surrounded by free world ships, protected. The Confederation representatives were old aliens, species who had ruled for so long they forgot what it meant to be challenged. They spoke carefully, diplomatically. "The Confederation acknowledges certain regrettable actions in the past," one representative said. "We wish to discuss terms of peace, perhaps even a return to cooperation." Somin listened to the translation and then spoke clearly. "You tried to erase us from history. You murdered billions. You taught the galaxy that humanity was too dangerous to live, and now you want peace because you are afraid." The representative's translation device clicked nervously. "The situation has changed. Many species have broken away. The Confederation seeks stability." "The Confederation seeks survival," Taewon said. "You are afraid that more species will rebel. You are afraid that humanity will help them. We offer a seat on the Reformed Confederation Council," another representative said. "Full membership. Equal standing with all species." Somin stood. She looked at these ancient beings who had ruled the galaxy for so long, who had decided which species lived and which died. She thought of Commander Hyun, of Captain Jiwon, of Minho and all the others who had died fighting. "We will join your council," Somin said. "Not as subordinates, not as a species you forgave. We will join as equals who fought for that equality, and we will carry with us the memory of what you did. Every time you meet with us, you will see humans. You will remember Earth. You will remember that you tried to bury us and we came back." She leaned forward, her voice hard as steel. "And if you ever threaten us again, if you ever threaten any species again, you will learn that ghosts do not die twice. We will haunt you forever. We will make sure every species in this galaxy knows what you are. Do you understand?" The representatives understood. They agreed to the terms. Humanity took its seat on the council, not as victims but as survivors who had earned their place through blood and fire. The station no longer hid behind a dead star. It moved to a new location orbiting a young blue star. They named it New Hope. Children played in parks built under artificial sunlight. Engineers designed new ships. Scientists explored quantum mechanics. Artists created works celebrating survival. On the memorial wall, the names remained, carved deep so time could not erase them. Below the names, a new inscription. Simple words that carried the weight of everything humanity had endured. They tried to erase us from history. We refuse to stay buried. We are humanity. We remember, we endure, we rise. Dr. Nari stood before the wall one evening, her hand touching Commander Hyun's name. Hana joined her, both women silent for a moment. "Do you think he would be proud?" Hana asked. I think he would say we still have work to do, Nari replied. She pulled up a data display. I detected another signal yesterday. Old human encryption. The Confederation fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like a metal storm. 5,300 warships filled the Dead Star system, their weapons charged, their shields at maximum. Admiral Quan commanded from the bridge of his flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Righteous Fury. He looked at the tactical display showing the human station and their pitiful fleet. 300 ships, most of them barely spaceworthy. This would not be a battle. This would be an execution. All ships spread out in formation Delta, Quan ordered through his translator. His Velen voice clicked and hissed. Surround them. Leave no escape routes. Destroy everything. The Confederation fleet moved like a living thing, surrounding the human position from all sides. Thousands of weapons locked onto targets. It was beautiful in its efficiency. By tomorrow, humanity would be truly extinct. On the hidden station, Lieutenant Soman watched her tactical displays with cold precision. She had studied Admiral Quan's tactics for weeks. The Velen commander was predictable, always using overwhelming force in carefully coordinated patterns. He fought like a chess player, moving pieces into perfect position before striking. That predictability would kill him. Captain G1, Salman said through the communications channel, they are moving exactly as projected. When they reach position 77 Mark III, activate the weapon. In the station's reactor core, Engineer Jiho stood before the quantum weapon. It hummed with barely contained power, all their hope and desperation compressed into one device. Hana stood beside him monitoring systems. The weapon is ready, Jiho said. But remember, we get 3 minutes. After that, it burns out forever. Make those 3 minutes count. Commander Hyun stood on the command deck of the Defiance, watching the enemy fleet surround them. Captain Jiwon was beside him, her hands steady on the controls. Around them, 299 other human ships held position, waiting. They think we are helpless, Jiwon said. Let them think that, Hyun replied. Pride makes people stupid. Admiral Kwan's fleet reached optimal attack position. Every ship had a target. Every weapon was aimed. This was the moment of perfect coordination, the killing blow. All ships fire on my mark, Kwan ordered. 3, 2, the quantum weapon activated. For a single instant, nothing happened. Then reality twisted. Quantum entangled particles across 3 light years screamed in harmony. Every ship in the Confederation fleet shuddered as their systems crashed simultaneously. Weapons went dark. Shields collapsed. Engines died. Entire dreadnoughts became floating metal coffins in the space of a heartbeat. Now, Hyun shouted. Attack now! The human fleet surged forward. 300 ships, small and fast, tore into the disabled Confederation formation. They targeted command ships and carriers, the vessels that would take longest to reboot. Plasma fire and missiles streaked across the void. The Defiance led the charge, Jiwon piloting with brutal efficiency. They raked fire across the hull of a disabled cruiser, punching through armor, tearing into critical systems. The cruiser exploded in a bloom of fire. Focus on the command carrier, Lieutenant Soman directed from the station. Eliminate their leadership. But 3 minutes was not much time. Already systems were beginning to reboot on some Confederation ships. Emergency power flickered to life. Backup weapons came online. A frigate got its shields up just as a human destroyer fired on it. The shots deflected harmlessly. The frigate returned fire and the human destroyer exploded, torn apart by superior firepower. We are losing ships, Jiwon reported. They are recovering faster than projected. More and more Confederation vessels came back online. Their weapons found targets. Human ships died, outgunned and outnumbered. The odds were still impossible. Jiho watched his displays as the weapon strained. 2 minutes had passed. The quantum field was destabilizing. 30 more seconds, maybe 40, before total burnout. Come on, he whispered. Hold together. Just a little longer. Admiral Kwan's flagship rebooted. The Righteous Fury systems came online one by one. Kwan pulled himself up from where the weapon's activation had thrown him. His tactical display showed chaos. 27 ships destroyed, dozens more damaged. The humans were carving through his formation like predators. Rage filled him. These primitive vermin were hurting his fleet, making him look weak. That could not stand. All ships target their flagship, Kwan ordered. Kill their command ship now. Every Confederation vessel that had weapons locked onto the Defiance. Hundreds of targeting solutions locked in place. They would obliterate the human flagship in seconds. Captain Jiwon saw the targeting indicators light up her console. So many locks. Too many to evade. She looked at Hyun. Sir, they are all targeting us. If we stay, we die. Hyun looked at the tactical display. The Confederation command carrier was close, its system still rebooting, vulnerable. If they could destroy it, the enemy fleet would fall into chaos. But reaching it meant staying in the path of hundreds of weapons. He thought of Minho, sacrificing himself to deliver a message. He thought of all the humans who had died in the shadows. He thought of Earth burning. Ram them, Hyun said. Sir? Jiwon's eyes widened. You heard me, Captain. Full power to engines. Ram the command carrier. Take Kwon with us. Jiwon understood instantly. She was going to die anyway. Might as well make it count. She smiled, fierce and terrible. Yes, sir. It has been an honor. The honor was mine, Hyun said. The Defiance's engines roared to full power. The old cruiser surged forward, accelerating directly toward the Confederation command carrier. Weapons fire from 100 ships hammered into its shields. The shields collapsed. Fire tore into the hull. Explosions rippled through decks. People died screaming. But the Defiance kept going, a burning spear aimed at the heart of the enemy. On the command deck, Hyun gripped his chair as the ship shook itself apart around him. He saw Jiwon at the controls, her face set in determination even as fire consumed the bridge. He saw crew members dying at their stations, still trying to fight. For Earth, Hyun whispered. The Defiance struck the righteous fury at full speed. The impact was catastrophic. The cruiser's reactor exploded, tearing both ships apart in a miniature star. Admiral Kwon died instantly. His command carrier broke in half, secondary explosions ripping through its length. The quantum weapon finally burned out, 3 minutes and 17 seconds after activation. But it had been enough. The Confederation fleet fell into chaos without Kwon. Ships fired wildly without coordination. Some tried to retreat. Others pushed forward without support. The careful formations collapsed. Lieutenant Soman saw the opportunity. All ships pressed the attack. Target their command structure. Do not let them reorganize. The remaining human fleet, now down to 93 ships, struck like wolves. They targeted isolated vessels, overwhelming them with focused fire. They used speed and desperation against enemies still reeling from the quantum weapon's effects. The battle raged for 6 more hours. It was brutal. It was bloody. The void filled with debris and bodies. Human ships died by the dozen, but they took Confederation vessels with them. For every human ship destroyed, they killed 5 enemy ships. Finally, as the star system's distant sun rose over the battlefield, the Confederation fleet broke. The remaining ships, over 4,000 of them, retreated into faster-than-light travel. They ran, abandoning the system, abandoning their dead. The human fleet had won. Of 300 ships, only 79 remained. Of 10,000 people, 8,300 survived. The hidden station was damaged but intact. The quantum weapon was destroyed beyond repair, but they had won. On the station, people wept. They cheered. They collapsed in exhaustion. They had faced an extermination fleet and survived. Hana stood in the reactor core, looking at the melted ruins of the weapon. Chiho sat nearby, his face gray with exhaustion. We did it, she whispered. We actually did it. Messages began arriving from across the galaxy. Species who had seen the broadcast, who had watched the battle through quantum communications. 12 species declared independence from the Confederation. Others sent messages of support. Humanity was no longer alone. Lieutenant Somin took command of what remained of the fleet. She was young for the responsibility, but she had earned it. She stood on the bridge of a damaged frigate that was now their flagship, and looked at the debris field that had been a Confederation armada. Commander Hyun died well, she said to the crew. Captain Jiwon died well. They died fighting, and because of them humanity lives. We are still here. We are still fighting, and we will never let them bury us again. The ghosts had fought back, and the galaxy would never forget. The galaxy was burning with questions. 5 days after the broadcast, the Confederation could not contain the chaos. On 70 worlds, protest filled the streets. Species that had been told humans were extinct demanded answers. Why had they been lied to? What else was the Confederation hiding? Commander Hyun watched the reports from the hidden station, a grim smile on his weathered face. They had poked the beast and now it was thrashing, but the beast was waking up angry. Long-range sensors are picking up fleet movements, Captain Jiwon reported. She stood at attention in the command center, her uniform crisp despite living on a dying station. The Confederation is mobilizing military assets from 6 sectors. They are converging on this region. Hyun had expected this. The moment they revealed themselves, the Confederation would come. But knowing it was coming did not make it easier to face. How many ships? He asked. Initial estimates suggest 5,000 warships, maybe more. Jiwon's voice remained steady, but Hyun saw the fear in her eyes. They are not sending a patrol. They are sending an extermination fleet. The command center fell silent. 5,000 warships. Humanity had 300 ships. Most of them converted cargo haulers and mining vessels. They had no chance in a straight fight. Doyen stood from his seat in the corner. We should surrender. Send a message of peace. Perhaps if we explain what? Hyun cut him off. That we are sorry for surviving? That we apologize for existing? They do not want our surrender, Doyen. They want us gone completely forever. Then we are all dead, Doyen said. Every man, woman, and child on this station. Yes, Hyun agreed. Unless we find a way to fight. Dr. Nari entered the command center, moving quickly, her tablet clutched in her hands. She looked exhausted but excited. I found something. In the old Earth archives. Something we can use. She activated her tablet, projecting schematics into the air. Complex diagrams of technology, equations, weapons designs. Before the Confederation destroyed Earth, our scientists were working on experimental weapons. Most of the projects were never completed, but there was one that showed promise. A quantum disruption field. Hyun leaned forward, studying the diagrams. What does it do? It creates a cascade effect through quantum entangled particles, Nari explained. In simple terms, it can disable electronic systems across an entire sector simultaneously. Ships, weapons, shields, everything that relies on quantum computing, which is everything the Confederation uses. Captain Jiwon's eyes widened. You could shut down an entire fleet? In theory, yes. But the weapon was never finished. We would need to build it from scratch, and we have maybe 2 weeks before that armada arrives. Can it be done? Hyun asked. Nari hesitated. If we had Engineer Jiho, maybe. He is the only person on this station who understands quantum mechanics well enough. But even with him, it is a long shot. The weapon requires components we do not have. Rare materials. And if we make one mistake, the whole thing could explode and destroy the station. Hyun did not hesitate. Get Jiho, get whatever you need. Start building. Doyen shook his head. This is madness. Even if the weapon works, even if we disable their fleet, what then? We cannot defeat the entire Confederation. This is a fight we cannot win. You are right, Hyun said quietly. We cannot win. But we can make them remember us. We can make our deaths mean something. Or we can hide in this station until our life support fails and we suffocate in the dark. I know which death I prefer. Over the next 2 weeks, the station became a hive of frantic activity. Engineer Jiho, a grizzled old man with burns on his hands and fire in his eyes, took over an entire section to build the quantum weapon. Nari worked beside him, along with every scientist and engineer they could spare. The rest of the station prepared for war. Captain Jiwon drilled the pilots relentlessly. Lieutenant Somin, Jiwon's second in command, a tactical genius with a mind like a computer, designed battle formations and attack patterns. They knew the numbers. They knew they were outmatched. But they trained anyway. Hana returned on the 10th day, her stealth ship limping home on damaged engines. The station celebrated her return, but the celebration was muted. Minho was not with her. The young pilot had become humanity's first martyr in this new war. Hyun met Hana in the hangar. She saluted, her eyes red from crying. Report, Hyun said gently. The message is spreading, sir. We hurt them. The Confederation is scrambling to control the damage. Some species are breaking away, declaring independence. Others are rioting. But they are coming for us. A big fleet. Admiral Kwan is leading them. I intercepted communications. They are not taking prisoners, Hyun nodded. He had heard of Admiral Kwan, a ruthless Velan commander who had crushed rebellions on a dozen worlds. The Confederation was sending their best. You did well, Hyun said. Minho did well. Because of you both, the galaxy knows we exist. That matters, does it? Hana asked, her voice breaking. If we all die, what does it matter? Hyun put a hand on her shoulder. It matters because we chose to stand. We chose to fight instead of fade away. That choice echoes even in death. Other species saw our message. Some of them are fighting now too. We are not alone anymore. That is what Minho died for. Hana wiped her eyes and nodded. What do you need me to do? Help Jiho with the weapon. We need it ready in 4 days. The weapon came together piece by piece. Jiho cursed and shouted, demanding impossible things, but somehow the engineers made it happen. They stripped components from ships, melted down rare metals, rebuilt and retested constantly. On the 13th day, Jiho activated the weapon for the first time. Energy hummed through the station, making the walls vibrate. Lights flickered. People held their breath. The weapon held stable for 3 minutes before shutting down. That is it, Jiho said, exhausted. 3 minutes. That is all we get. After that, the system burns out completely. It is one use only. 3 minutes, Hyun said. Can we win a battle in 3 minutes? Lieutenant Soman studied tactical displays. If we disable their fleet at the right moment, and if our pilots are perfect, and if nothing goes wrong, maybe. But it will be close. Everything about this is close, Captain Jiwan said. We have been living on close for 3 centuries. On the 14th day, long-range sensors detected the Confederation fleet. 5,300 ships ranging from small frigates to massive dreadnoughts. They were 3 days out and closing fast. Yoon assembled the entire station in the main hangar. 10,000 people, from children to elders, gathered to hear him speak. Some cried, some looked angry, all looked scared. I will not lie to you, Hyun began. The fleet coming for us is massive. We are outmatched and outgunned. Most of us will probably die in the next few days. He paused, looking at the faces before him. His people, the last humans, but we die as we choose, not hiding in shadows, not begging for mercy from those who murdered our world. We die fighting. And maybe, just maybe, we win, because we have something they do not have. We have already lost everything once. We have nothing left to fear. They tried to erase us from history. We are going to show them that you cannot bury a ghost. The hangar erupted in cheers. Scared cheers, desperate cheers, but cheers nonetheless. The fleet prepared to launch. 300 ships against 5,000. Impossible odds. But humanity had survived impossible odds before. Captain Jiwan took command of the flagship, an old cruiser named Defiance. Lieutenant Soman coordinated from the station. Engineer Jiho made final adjustments to the quantum weapon. Hyun stood on the command deck watching the Confederation fleet approach on sensors. In 2 days, they would arrive. In 2 days, humanity would either prove they could not be erased or they would be destroyed completely. He thought of Earth, burning under alien fire. He thought of Minho, dying to deliver a message. He thought of all the humans who had lived and died in the shadows, waiting for this moment. Let them come, he said quietly. Let them see what ghosts can do. The stealth ship moved through space like a shadow, invisible to sensors, silent as death. Inside the cramped cockpit, Minho checked their course for the 100th time. 3 weeks they had been traveling, slipping past patrol routes and sensor nets, diving deeper into Confederation territory. Hana sat beside him, surrounded by holographic displays showing data streams and code. She had not slept properly in days. Her fingers flew across virtual keyboards, building the virus that would change everything. How much longer? Minho asked. 2 days to the capital world, Hana replied without looking up. The virus is almost ready. It will spread through every relay station, every communications hub, every connected device in Confederation space. Once I upload it, there is no stopping it. Minho nodded. He had flown supply runs, patrol missions, countless hours in simulators. But this was different. This was real. This was the mission that would either save humanity or doom them. Are you scared? He asked. Hana finally looked at him. Terrified, you? Same. He tried to smile. At least we are terrified together. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a small moon. Before them stretched the capital world of the Confederation, a massive planet covered in gleaming cities. Billions of aliens lived there, going about their lives believing humanity was extinct. Take us in slow, Hana said. I need to find the data nexus. Minho piloted the ship through the orbital traffic, weaving between cargo haulers and passenger transports. Nobody noticed one more small ship. Their stealth systems made them look like background noise, a glitch in the sensors. The data nexus was a massive station orbiting above the capital, a sphere of metal and light, where all information in this sector flowed. Every message, every broadcast, every piece of data passed through this hub. It was heavily guarded, but Hana had found a weakness in their security protocols. "There," she said, pointing to a maintenance port on the lower section. "That is our entry point." Minho brought the ship in close, magnetic clamps engaging with barely a sound. They suited up quickly, checking weapons and equipment. The plan was simple. Get inside, reach the core servers, upload the virus, and get out. Simple, but not easy. The maintenance port opened to Hana's hacked codes. They floated through zero-gravity corridors, past pipes and cables, staying in the maintenance sections where workers rarely ventured. Security cameras had been looped to show empty corridors. For now, they were invisible. "This way," Hana whispered, pulling herself along handholds toward the core. 10 more minutes. They moved through the guts of the station, and Minho could not help but notice the alien writing on the walls, the strange technology, the sense that this was a place humans were never meant to see. They had been erased so completely that their existence here felt wrong, like ghosts haunting a world that forgot them. The core server room was massive, filled with towers of processing units stretching up into darkness. Hana pulled out her access tablet and plugged into the nearest port. Data flooded her screens. "I am in," she said. "Starting the upload now." Minho kept watch at the door, rifle ready. His heart pounded. Every second felt like an hour. He watched the progress bar on Hana's screen crawl forward. 20%, 30%, 40. An alarm shrieked through the station. "They found us," Hana said, her voice tight with fear. "Keep them back. I need 3 more minutes." Minho moved to the doorway as security forces appeared at the far end of the corridor. They were Threks, a species of large reptilian aliens, heavily armed and armored. They shouted commands in their clicking language and raised weapons. Minho fired first. His plasma rifle cut through the air, striking the lead guard in the chest. The alien fell, but more came behind, pouring into the corridor like a flood. 2 minutes, Hana called out. Minho ducked behind a support pillar as return fire scorched the air where he had been standing. He leaned out and fired again, taking down another guard. But there were too many. They were advancing, using coordinated tactics, professional soldiers against one pilot with a rifle. A plasma bolt hit his shoulder, and Minho screamed. Pain exploded through his arm. He fell back, his rifle clattering to the floor. "Minho," Hana shouted. "Keep uploading," he gasped. "Do not stop." He grabbed his sidearm with his left hand, his right arm useless and burning. The guards were close now, only 20 meters away. He fired wildly, trying to buy seconds. 1 minute, Hana said. "Please hold on." Minho knew he could not hold them for a minute. He looked at his belt, at the thermal charges they had brought for emergencies. An idea formed, desperate and stupid. "When you finish, run for the ship," he said. "What? No, we leave together." "Listen to me," Minho said, meeting her eyes. "Someone has to make sure this message gets out. You are the only one who can do that. I will buy you time." "Minho, do not—" 30 seconds, Hana. When I say run, you run. Do not look back." The upload hit 100%. Hana pulled her tablet free and the virus began spreading through the network like wildfire. On every screen in the station, images flickered. On every planet in the sector, broadcasts interrupted. Human faces appeared. Real humans alive and defiant. Children playing in corridors. Engineers working on ships. Soldiers training for battle. All the proof that humanity still existed. And then came the message, written in every language the Confederation used, spoken in a voice that echoed across 1,000 worlds. "Commander Hyun's voice, you tried to erase us from history. You told the galaxy we destroyed ourselves. You taught your children that humanity was too violent, too dangerous to live. But you lied. We are still here. We survived. And we remember everything you did to us. We remember the day you came to Earth. We remember the fire. We remember the 3 billion people you murdered. You tried to bury the truth, but you cannot bury a ghost. We are humanity. We are still here. And we will never let the galaxy forget what you did." The message played on loop, spreading faster than the Confederation could shut it down. On 100 worlds, aliens stopped and stared at screens showing impossible things. Humans. Alive. "Run," Minho shouted. Hana hesitated for one heartbeat, tears in her eyes, then turned and sprinted for the maintenance corridor. Minho armed every thermal charge on his belt and threw them down the corridor toward the advancing guards. Then he stood using his body to block the doorway and started firing his sidearm. 1 shot, 2, 3, the guards returned fire. Bolts hit his chest, his legs. He fell to his knees but kept shooting. Kept buying seconds for Earth, he whispered. The thermal charges detonated. The explosion was massive, tearing through the corridor, collapsing walls and ceilings. The server room shook. Emergency alarms screamed. Hana felt the shockwave as she reached the ship. She pulled herself inside, tears streaming down her face, and fired the engines. The stealth ship tore away from the station as more explosions ripped through the data nexus. She set course for the hidden station, for home, and let herself cry. Minho was gone, but the message was out. The galaxy knew humanity had returned from death. The ghosts were real, and the Confederation would never silence them again. Behind her, on 1,000 worlds, riots began. Species who had been told lies started demanding answers. Underground movements that had fought alone suddenly had allies. The careful order of the Confederation began to crack. One human pilot had died, but he had lit a fire that would burn across the stars. Hana wiped her tears and checked her sensors. A long journey home awaited, but she carried with her something precious. Proof that humanity could not be erased. Proof that some ghosts refused to stay buried. The war had begun. The station floated in darkness, hidden behind the corpse of a dead star. No light reached this place. No signals escaped. For 300 years, this had been home to the last survivors of a species the galaxy believed extinct. Commander Hyun stood before the observation window, staring at the void beyond. His reflection looked back at him, weathered and tired. Gray streaks ran through his black hair. Deep lines marked his face. He had been young once, born on Earth before the sky burned. Now he was old, and Earth was nothing but ashes and memory. Behind him, the council chamber filled with voices. Angry voices. Scared voices. The same argument they had been having for months, maybe years. Hyun had stopped counting. "We cannot survive another decade like this," someone shouted. It was Doyen. Always Doyen. The man never stopped talking about surrender, about hiding deeper, about giving up. "Our supplies are failing. The hydroponics bay lost another section last week. We are dying slowly, and for what? Pride?" Hyun turned from the window. The council chamber was small, cramped. 50 people sat in rows of metal chairs, representing the 10,000 souls scattered throughout the station. 10,000 humans, all that remained of a species that once numbered in the billions. "We die because we choose to live," Hyun said quietly. His voice carried weight. People listened when he spoke. They wanted us gone. They wanted humanity erased. If we surrender now, we prove them right. A woman stood from the front row. Dr. Nari, young and brilliant, her eyes bright with something Hyun recognized as dangerous hope. She carried a data tablet, clutching it like a weapon. "I have found something," Nari said. "Something that changes everything." The room fell silent. Even Doyun stopped his complaining. Nari activated her tablet. A hologram sprang to life above the council floor, showing images of star systems, alien worlds, ancient documents written in languages long dead. "For 2 years I have been digging through every archive we saved from Earth, every fragment of data we recovered from alien databases. I found patterns, deletions, cover-ups." She zoomed in on one document. The text was in the Confederation's official language, but portions had been redacted, burned away by digital fire. "This is a historical record from the Confederation's founding, 4,000 years ago." It mentioned 17 species who opposed the Confederation's formation. 17 species who discovered something about the founders, something terrible. Hyun leaned forward. "What happened to those 17 species?" "According to official records, they all went extinct due to natural causes, war, disease, accident." Nari's voice hardened. "But I found fragments of the truth. The Confederation killed them, every single one. And then they erased them from history, just like they erased us." The room erupted into chaos. People shouting, some in disbelief, others in rage. Hyun raised his hand, and slowly the noise died down. "Why?" he asked. "Why would they do this?" "Because those species found proof," Nari said. "Proof that the Confederation's founders committed genocide. They wiped out hundreds of primitive species to claim their worlds. The Confederation is built on mass murder, and anyone who discovers the truth dies. We discovered it 300 years ago, didn't we? Our scientists found evidence in ancient ruins on Mars. We tried to bring it to the Confederation Council." Hyun closed his eyes. He remembered that day. The day Earth's ambassadors went to the Confederation capital, armed with proof of ancient crimes. The day the Confederation fleet appeared in Earth's sky and began firing. No warning, no negotiation, just death. They killed us to keep their secret, Hyun said, and they told the galaxy we destroyed ourselves. Yes, Nari replied. And now every species in the Confederation believes humanity was violent and primitive. We are taught in their schools as an example of what happens when a species is too dangerous to live. The weight of it settled over the room like a heavy blanket. 3 centuries of hiding, of barely surviving, and the truth was worse than anyone imagined. A young voice broke the silence. Then we make them pay. Hyun looked up. Minho stood near the back, young and angry, his pilot jacket worn and patched. The boy was 23, born on this station, never saw Earth, never breathed air that was not recycled. But he had fire in his eyes. How? Doyen demanded. We have 300 ships, most of them barely functional. The Confederation has millions. We have 10,000 people. They have trillions. Even if we wanted revenge, we would die achieving nothing. Minho walked down the aisle between the chairs. We do not need to beat them in battle. We need to tell the galaxy the truth. Show them we still exist. Show them what the Confederation did. They will just call it propaganda, Doyen said. Lies from a dead species. Not if we broadcast it everywhere at once, said a new voice. A teenage girl stood up, thin and small, her fingers stained with circuit grease. Hana, the station's best hacker. I can write a virus. Something that overrides every communication system in Confederation space. Every screen, every broadcast, every data network. All at once. Nari's eyes widened. A message the entire galaxy cannot ignore. It would be suicide, Doyen said. The moment we reveal ourselves, the Confederation will come with their full fleet. We will all die. We are already dying, Hyun said quietly. He looked around the room, meeting eyes, seeing the same exhaustion he felt reflected back at him. Doyen is right. We cannot survive much longer like this. Our children grow up in metal corridors, never seeing a sun. Our people forget what it means to be human. We face a choice. We can hide until we fade away, a species that surrendered to fear. Or we can show the galaxy that humanity still lives, that we remember what was done to us, that ghosts can come back. He stood, straightening his uniform. I call for a vote. Do we stay hidden and die slowly? Or do we reveal ourselves and fight? The vote was not even close. Only Doyen and a handful of others voted to remain hidden. The rest raised their hands for war. Minho stepped forward. I will take the message to Confederation space. I will make sure it broadcasts. Hyun looked at the young pilot, seeing himself decades ago, full of fire and hope. You understand this is likely a one-way trip? Yes, sir, Minho said. But someone has to do it. And I am the best pilot we have. Hana moved to stand beside him. He will need a navigator. And someone to upload the virus. Hyun wanted to argue to protect these young people, but he saw the determination in their faces. The decision was already made. Then we have work to do, he said. We have hidden for 300 years. Now we remind the galaxy what happens when you try to bury humanity. We do not stay buried. We come back. And we bring the truth with us. The council chamber emptied as people rushed to their stations, preparing for what came next. Hyun remained at the window, staring into the dark. They tried to erase us from history, he thought. But you cannot bury a ghost. The war was about to begin.